Hi everyone, I've managed to come out between the breaks and the rain, and the purpose of this video, and there's going to be some photographs as well, is to show you what the area is going to be lost if the Palace Rig village, whatever they're deciding to call it these days, goes ahead with over 1,200 houses, saying it's a mixed-use development. So at the moment, I'm walking down through the helicopter field at Common Old Model Flying Club. Now it's really easy actually to picture where houses and everything are going to go, because there is that dead line of trees ahead of you there. So I'm in the helicopter field at the moment, and there is a 500 metre demarcation around the Model Flying Club. So that actually extends onto the edge of the housing estate. If you look at the illustrative plan that I'll insert now, you'll see that it overlaps the corner of people's houses and it abuts onto a potential play area, which is obviously ridiculous, because if a plane goes out of control or a drone, it's going to hit children, residents, it could damage property. And the Model Flying Club has been here for years. So it's quite a good day today. We can see all the way through to Glasgow over that end and all the way through towards the Trossachs. So we've got Lennox Town and everything over there by the Campses. But all of this grass, bar the bit immediately in front of me, is going to be lost to the housing development. And then here is Palace Rig Road, but I don't have access over the other side, so I can't show you that bit. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to be walking the perimeter of around about a third of a site. Now, as I've been standing here, my feet have already been sinking in because it's just moss, bogland and meadow. So they're actually planning on building on areas of peat bog and heavy organic clay, which is not good, which means there's going to be lots of drainage needed. But most of all, we're going to lose all the important ecological features that make this an amazing site. I don't know if you can see, I'm going to try and zoom in. There's actually snow over there on the Ochil Hills, because that's Stirling in that direction. No snow on the campuses though. But just take this in. So where I'm going to be heading is down there, and then along where that gorse is in the distance. And then we'll be walking down, because that farthest meadow there where you can see near Green Rig, that's also being built on right up to the edge of the wood. So I don't know if you can hear this when I'm walking. This is only halfway down the hill. Can you imagine how boggy it is in the bog? I mean, this is just moss. Hundreds of different types of moss. And my feet are sinking in a couple of inches each time I walk. What I'm going to do now is walk in real time without turning the camera off, basically the perimeter of the site. Now, one of the most important things you need to remember is that it's not just going to be houses and other mixed-use buildings. There's going to be a new ring road, and it's going to be a primary road that goes around the edge of a site. So you're going to have a cycle path with that as well, according to the proposed plans. And it's going to be a boundary, but it's not going to be a soft boundary, so people's gardens aren't going to back onto it. It's literally going to be a hard boundary that will also kill native wildlife. It's going to cause pollution, noise pollution, light pollution, because there's going to have to be lights on it, because it's absolutely pitch black up here at night time. It's just unbelievable. So like I said, I'm going to walk around this in real time, so the video might be a bit longer than expected, but if you stay tuned, I'm really, really grateful. I don't know if you can see up there, there's a buzzard. He's just caught a thermal. I'm hoping with this quality of camera that I can zoom in. There's people on their horses over there. Now this track that they're going down is the original lane that used to lead to Glencryan Farm. So luckily, oh excuse the wind noise, luckily according to the plans, Glencryan Farm is going to be a protected area. So the Model Flying Club and Glencryan Farm will be like a parcel of land. But this land is not big enough. So it's not big enough to sustain all the deer that are there. It's not going to make up for the fact that the waterways and the water table are going to be affected. I mean, just look at this. Peaty bog water. Everything will have a knock-on effect, not least for the fact that the development is on the side of a hill. So everything that happens is just going to go down the hill. Now, obviously I've got permission to walk on here because my boyfriend is a long-standing member of the Model Flying Club. I'm going to exit over here back onto the main road. I just wanted to show you this. So this is an animal track. I know there's foxes and deer on this bit, but you might not be able to tell. There you go, and it goes all the way off down there past the water station, and there's hundreds of these tracks all the way through this part of Glencryan. And obviously we've got the moles, the molehills. But the reason why these tracks and animal tracks are important is because you can see how the wildlife moves around the area. So we're not just talking about, oh, there's a little mouse here, there's a little fox over that side. They all use a network of paths that run directly through the area. Oh, here we go. So these don't appear to be dog tracks. These could possibly be badger tracks. The ground's really, really soft. Oh, there's a deer hoof print there as well. There you go. It's either a big fox or possibly a badger. But I can't really tell because of how soft the ground is and how wet it is. I wonder if there'll be any more tracks on this bit. Oh, there's some scat down there. So this is me now exiting this perimeter and walking straight down the old lane. So this view, bar the bit in front of the grass, will all be houses, and I want you to take into account how long it's taken me to walk here. So I'm going to walk at a fairly normal pace, and I'll point out anything nice that I see on the way. So these are beech trees here. This is a beech lined avenue. You can see some gorse in the distance. I've also got my big camera on me in case we see anything good. If I think there's going to be a deer or any other wildlife that's important, I am going to shut up. This is me having a wander. So what I want you to really understand is the scale of this. So they're calling it Palace Rig Village because it will be an entire village on this side of the road and the other side. So the good news is this isn't getting built on. So you have this little scrubby bit of gorse. But imagine about 200 metres behind that, not even that. There'll be houses, there'll be that ring road. And it undoubtedly will have an effect on this wildlife. So while there isn't any ancient woodland here, you can see how young some of the trees are. We've got ash and silver birch. They really do support a whole plethora of all kinds of birds, mini beasts, little rodents, and of course badgers and foxes. And the waterway is probably otter. So just have a listen. I don't know if you can make out, there's some more small tit birds over there. Now this is really interesting because on my objection, you can see here there is a highway maintenance cable entry point. Now I mentioned here that they'd taken away some ancient hedgerow, and that was taken away before the survey took place. So here we go, you can have a look at a little bit of a look through here. So I'm standing on this bit which was not built up before. This was just flat, and you can see here some old rubbish that's been left behind, but everything before was gorse and hawthorn. So this whole bit here, this was widened, flattened, and all the extra rubble was put up on the side so that the heavy machinery could get through. And it's most evident down here. So On the right, it wasn't too much affected, and you can see that there have been some trees that have been put in by people such as Common Old Living Landscape, etc. But here we go. So here's the gorse, and then look, this tree here was uprooted and moved, and this whole bank was just an ancient hedgerow. Well, I'm saying ancient, but I'm talking like hundreds of years old. Look at the hawthorns and everything through there, which I'll show you in a minute. But this was just a thin road. So this was a thin track. It had rubble and hardcore on it. And then to the side of it was this hedgerow that was completely uprooted and decimated. I mean, it was quite straggly anyway, but the fact that it actually was a hedgerow there, it just saddens me. I mean, look, this tree also, it was due to come down because the roots were quite bad. I think it had been struck by lightning or something. But you can see on this side, it's kind of not been touched, although the road was widened a bit there. But it's this area here. So all of this was dug up, and you can see the river. So you've seen it on some of my other vlogs. This is the spring that is permanently running down here. So look how wet everything is. It hasn't even rained for a couple of days. Been a bit of drizzle. But look how close to the surface the water table is. So yeah, when one cable was laid, one set of cables laid, they came all the way down here past the Model Flying Club. And then they ruined all of this hedgerow. I mean, look, there's the old wood chips and everything from it. I don't know if anyone else was aware that it was happening, but I didn't realise the scale of it. I thought they'd be using the existing paths, which didn't happen. So the thing that I've been hesitant to tell people is that in that group of trees there, that with the dead tree, and I can just see it might be Mrs. Blackbird or it might be a thrush. That group of trees are the Glencryan farm ruins, and once I've done this walk around the edge of the boundary of the site, I am going to come back and maybe go live, but I'll take some pictures and some video here because it's absolutely heaving with small birds, all the different tits and finches. There's usually some chaffinches and bullfinches over there. But yeah, so this thankfully is a tiny parcel of protected land. But this right here is Palace Rig Country Park. You can see more devastation of the hedgerow here. They've just chopped down these really old hawthorns. And on that side there's a pile of stumps and everything from all the trees that they had to chop down. Luckily this one stayed, but there's dog violets on that side as well. I think it's a bit too early, because I'm filming this very early in April and the violets don't usually come out till May. But look, that's the decimation of laying one cable. But hardly any of his hedgerow survived. That's a buzzard. I'll try and increase the audio. That's a buzzard, and that buzzard nests there. There's a dead tree. I've actually done quite a lot of artwork to do with the Glencryan farm ruins, just because I absolutely love it. There's me walking across some more pure wetland. Any of the noise you can hear in the background is the drones and helicopters from the flying club, because a couple of people are up today. But again, this was never as wide as this. Look at all the trees that got chopped down for laying one lot of cable. Here we're talking about 1,200 houses, maybe 1,500, and it's absolutely sickening. I mean, just look, I've walked, what, a couple of 100 metres, and these here are springs that are coming out the side. So not only am I standing in basically a mini river, a mini waterway here that's permanently flowing. Since they did the excavation work to widen the path, springs have just like sprung out everywhere. So can you imagine building houses and how much drainage there's going to have to be? Again, that's looking back at the farm. So while we can hear the planes and everything in the background, I'm going to be quiet for a moment until we get down to the next bit and let you hear the lovely wildlife. there's still some storm damage from Storm Aisha. And I don't know if you can read that. That's from Common Old Brickworks. So at this crossroads here, which is significantly important, if you are to go that way, it leads you to the mine entrance and Glencryan Burn, and there's a dry stone wall up that end, which you've seen in a couple of my vlogs. If you continue straight down there, that leads you down past Glencryan Meadow on the left, one of the entrances there, and straight onto Forest Road. Not actually at the car park area. That's where the Woodland Trust or whatever have designated it. This is actually further along than the car park area. You have to walk probably about 2 more minutes until you reach the muddy car park. So we're quite a far way across. We're not close to the main bit of Palace Rig. And then here is my absolute favourite. That's the flying club where we've just gone. Down here is the little burn on the left. Obviously more tree damage, more storm damage. And this is where the edge of Glencryan Farm came out. So there are a couple of old buildings, a couple of old animal byres. They're marked on the Ordnance Survey as tanks, I believe. But look at this. So this particular path, I believe, was made so that people from the mine could get down to the tramway. So you'll see in the little burn here, there's bricks. There's bricks under the path. But it's absolutely fantastic. It's like its own mini microclimate. So there's hundreds of birds up here. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment to see if you can see them. They're picking all the buds off a silver birch and they're dropping them. I don't know if you saw that in the beginning. But here's the little mini burn. So this is always flowing because it comes down that main path. Comes down here. Now I wonder if you can guess what's to the right of me. I'll give you a clue. I won't get anything thrown at me. So the little birds up there. They're literally throwing, they're discarding little bits of husk from whatever they're eating on the silver birches. It feels like rain, but it's not. So yeah, as I was saying, I wonder if you can guess what's to the right of me based on the landscape here that I'm walking past. So this is one of my favourite bits. Obviously it's a bit dangerous, so that tree will come down at some point. But check this out. What could be in the woods to the right of me that many people don't know? Any clues? Any clues? Give you a clue. That big bit there. Stone. So look at this beautiful set of rocks here, all the lichen and moss on it. There is the ancient stone quarry to the right of me. So as you can see, this is quite hilly and they've cut through here to make the path that goes down to the tramway, which we'll see in a minute. I'm really hoping that this particular camera battery will last. But you can see here, it's quite craggy. And there's one of the corners of the buildings that I was talking about. So this was related to Glencryan Farm. And it was just a simple brick building. I'm guessing it was a store, but it says on the thing it was a tank. But there is actually the hidden foundations next to it, which I believe are a tank because I almost fell in them when I was exploring last time. This particular bit here by that edge of where that wall is where the 2 roe deer like to hide. So if they get frightened from the bit I'm about to show you, they run up there and hide. But yeah, there's another deer track, fox track running through there. Just gonna be a little bit quiet and then I'll show you over here. here we go. So this isn't actually a human track leading off here. This is just a natural track. You can see the gravel and everything. And this are animal tracks here. This is the original path that leads through to the ancient stone quarry. So I know that people do come down here on their bikes. Oh, look at that bird poo. Something's definitely been roosting up there. Might be one of the crows. There are woodpeckers here as well. So this is a mountain bike trail that people often use, but you can see how steep it is. Down here, just there at the bottom of the screen, and you can see about the high hump there. Down there is the stone quarry, and hopefully I'll be able to like go in and show you, but it has been a little bit flooded the last couple of times I've been up. But this area here is home to a pair of I think they're greater spotted woodpeckers, and of course deer, and I am 100% sure there's a fox on this bit. So while this doesn't actually touch the edge of the development is literally 200 metres, if that, 150 metres behind me if it goes ahead, and it's definitely going to affect everything. I mean, just look at this wonderful moss, look at this. So we'll have a little bit more of a look at that when we can. As you can see, there's some fortified bits of the path there with a brick, because as I mentioned earlier, this goes down to the old tramway. So we're about 18-19 minutes in. Oh, here's what we're talking about. So when the deer run over from there, they run up and over here and down into that gorse. Now let's have a little think. Where is the development actually going to come up to? So if I can get across here. I don't know if you can see, there's an old fence post there, and there's some gorse in the distance. What you will be looking at, I don't know if you can hear the mini waterfall as well, what you will be looking at is houses. You won't be looking at this wildlife. You won't be looking at this amazing old tree. You won't be listening to the sounds of the little babbling brook or anything like that, or the mini waterfall that's to my left, if I don't fall in. The deer won't be running across there anymore because they would have been scared over there from walkers and from Forest Road, but they won't be able to get across because there'll be nothing, absolutely nothing apart from roads and houses and play areas. So here's a little waterfall here. So this waterfall is the runoff from the road that goes near the flying club. As I said, I'm going to be quiet in a minute, but this pond in the distance here, which we're going to walk past, that's kind of a seasonal pond. It's not always flooded like that, but I would say probably about 6 to 8 months of the year there is water in it, and it's permanently a bog, because I always try and get down there and I always end up getting stuck when I'm trying to film wildlife. So I don't understand how people can think this is a viable building site, even if you don't care about nature conservation. Here we are. So in case my camera battery runs out and I don't go back up there, in the gorse on the left hand part of this picture there is a fox's den, and I would say probably 8 out of 10 times that I've come up here the fox has been out if it's good weather during the daytime, and I've seen some cubs probably 18 months ago. Then the deer go into this bit that you can see in the background, and the road is going to literally flank the side of these trees. I mean, if I've read the map wrong, fair enough, correct me, but from what I can see on the illustrative master plan, it abuts these trees, because there's a row of beech which I'll show you shortly, and the road will be the other side of them. I mean, if you can see, there's a massive bracket fungus over there in the middle of the picture. But this is going to be sorely affected, because you can't tell me that building that many houses and having a primary road with a cycle route and everything else is not going to affect this, simply by noise alone. Now I'm on a high point here because, as I said, this is the road that leads down to the old tramway, which we're going to see shortly. But just look, so down there we're coming towards the outcrop, which was the ancient stone quarry, and there is another mini waterway burn that goes through there, and I've not really got to it before because it is so boggy around it and I don't want to destroy the wildlife. But you've got your holly trees there, native holly, all your birches and ash and beech. And although some of these aren't native trees, the fact that they've grown up and created this whole ecosystem is absolutely fantastic. I mean, there wouldn't be woodpeckers here, there wouldn't be kestrels, buzzards and all the different birds that there are. So on the biodiversity reports, they've all been done in either 2024 or 2023. So they're really, really recent. They were done in summer and this is the start of spring, as you can see. Another little waterway going through there. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to show it to you in full. Oh, there's another tree down because of storm Aisha. There's one of the waterways that runs through there on that bit. Yeah, it's far too boggy, but there is actually an overhang in the middle distance there, and that is where the stone quarry is. So if I'm walking back up on the way back up and I've got enough battery, I will show you. But here we are. I mean, for example, I'm quite glad that dog started barking because, oh, here's an area where more birds have been. I know the woodpeckers are on this bit usually, but I can't see them. Yeah, I'm quite glad that that dog started barking because I can tell you now that if that was one dog, one person walking their dog up the other side, what on earth is it going to be like when around 35% of households have a dog? So you're going to tell me if they see a deer running through the garden, or a large bird, or a badger, or a stoat or a weasel or anything like that, the dogs aren't going to bark and frighten the wildlife. The dogs aren't going to try and chase it. I mean, obviously there's not pine martens on this bit, but it is likely that they can come down from the other end, which is where they're situated at Forest Wood. 24 minutes in now. I know I've been talking a little bit, but this is still the edge of the site to my left. So through those trees, you will no longer see all of that meadowland. It will be a road and houses, and then continuing right across those meadows that I showed you. So here we go. This here, I'll just zoom in. This is the lip of the stone quarry. It doesn't look that tall, but the ground does move away from it here. So basically the ground goes down and around to the right, and that's a wall that's now covered in ferns, but it used to be a stone quarry. You've got shale, limestone, and it's all peppered through with quartz. Oh, there's another big tree that's down. So you can see this is a mountain bike people go along here. It's quite muddy. There's a few more footprints. I'm hoping that no one's really been on here today. I can show you. If they come along, I'll just have to move out the way. But this little cut through here is really significantly important. So, as far as I'm aware, there are a pair of nesting buzzards up here, and possibly a kestrel. I'm just going to have to be careful because it's quite slippery. So where I'm walking now, just look at all this amazing ground cover. You can hear the birds. So the buzzards live in these Scots pines just past the other scrubby bush there, and this is also where I saw the deer in the deer video, just down there past those Scots pines. But we are going to be walking through here, this track. So I don't know if this is a man-made track that's just got used and then the bikers found it really useful, or whether it's an animal track, like a deer track. To be honest, I can't see any deer footprints on here. However, I wouldn't want to be a deer confronted with a mountain bike coming through this bit. But here we go. So you can see them a bit more clearly. That's where the buzzard's nest are, in those Scots pines there. And as far as I'm aware, the buzzard's nest has been there maybe, well, I've been in Commonwealth for about 12 years, so maybe the last 6 years. Because I didn't find this little bit up here for a few years. And then when I went on my adventures, I managed to find it. It's a really nice little mountain bike bit, and you can see the bikes aren't really destroying anything. We've still got the little pools over there which are supporting amphibian life. You've got the lovely bedrock here. I'm probably going to slip down it. I'm surrounded on either side by tiny little birds. So you might not be a bird watcher, you might not be interested in birds, they might not be your thing, but I can tell you it's really, really cute when they're all hopping around the little branches. And not only is it cute, they're providing an essential service for the wildlife in the area. They'll be pooping out seeds, they'll be eating insects, and they themselves will be actually prey and food for other birds like the buzzards and like other raptors that are in the area. Now this is quite steep, it probably doesn't look it. That's where I've just come from. I don't know if you just heard that, there's a really big bird. There's a blackbird. So a blackbird just flew at my feet just then, and that wasn't actually what I was talking about. Behind me there was quite a big bird. I'm wondering if it was an owl, because the owls like to roost in these trees and then fly across the meadow. Unfortunately, I've only ever caught the sound of it. I've not caught the actual owl on video. Obviously there's hundreds of bats as well. This is quite good because there's all those little pools, and then we're coming down to the ponds. There are loads and loads of midges. So again, if this camera battery runs out, I'm just gonna keep going. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look where the other part of the development is, and then I'm going to walk back. Oh, something's been having a dig around here. Because this is really important. So in one of my lockdown videos where Alex was narrating, and in the one with Copper and it's really frosty and snowy, we walked down here, which is Glencryan Meadow. Now I always slip over on this bit, so be prepared for me to fall flat on my face. Oh, there's another bird over there. I think it's one of the buzzards. Yeah, so this bit here is still the end of the mountain bike range. It's quite squidgy and slippy. I'm going to stand on the grass. This is one of the bits that concerned me the most, because 100% there are toads. There are toads that use these ponds to spawn in, and there are actually 4 ponds. One on the left, which I'll show you, and this tree must have come down with a storm, and then 3 on the right that cascade down into each other. So where I'm looking directly down here, this was the old tramway, and there's an old metal gate down there, and that would have led to the brickworks, and you can hear about all of them in my Glencryan mine video. So we'll be having a look at that side in a minute. However, this is the side where on the map it's saying that there's going to be two parts of development, like whether it's going to be two blocks of flats or whether it's going to be associated infrastructure, who knows. But it looks like there's going to be two areas that are going to get built up. But just look at this amazing rock here. So what you'll have, according to the map, these bits of development will abut directly onto the pond, and they'll also eat up the meadow. So it'll disturb all the wildlife that's there. They'll frighten away anything that isn't already frightened away by the rest of the development. And it's ridiculous because it's detached from the other part of the development. So why would you add those extra couple of blocks of houses over here? Anyway, that's the first part of the pond. So that fills up there. You can see how everything's covered in moss. And then if we come down here, now obviously I'm not advocating everyone to follow the route that I've walked today, because some of it's off path and that's just going to destroy nature. So please don't do it. But I need to have this documented because it's part of my objection. And if it goes to a hearing, I want to use this as part of my evidence. So here we go. Oh, another tree that's been felled. So what you can't see is down by the other side of a tramway is actually a burn. So this pool here is used for ducks, and this is where most of the toad spawn is. So as you can see here, there's a shallow kind of beachy ledge bit there. And then in my other video, or a couple of my pictures, I'm going to put them in there when all the duckweed and everything is grown up in and algae's in the pond, and you can actually see the trails of creatures moving through it. So I don't know if there are water vole down here, but it is possible because there are some suitable banks for it a bit further down the burn. But here we go. So let's pretend we're looking at the pond, and you look up, and just behind those trees where you can see all that yellow grass is now a major housing estate. So whether it's going to be 2 blocks of houses or 20 individual dwellings or whatever, and a new access road, there will not be a meadow. So why is this important? Because everything here, because we're attached to a Slamanan plateau, as I've said before, everything here is interlinked. Everything, the humans, common old town, all the different patchwork of different environments like the bog, the meadow, the woodland, everything is interlinked. And at a time when we're losing all of our climate and environment to building and also to pollution, it is absolutely ridiculous that people can still think of building on places like this, because the amount of work you'd have to put in to drain it all as well. Oh, there's one of the second ponds down there in the distance, and you can see there, that's the actually you can see the station building. So that's McCorber's and Real Spice over there. That's where we are. But yeah, the amount of work that needs to go into this is ridiculous. Please just invest in the town, invest in places, and make suitable housing in places that has already been built on. And the thing is, if you're looking at this, you can see the birds, you can probably hear the hum of the road in the background. There's Millcroft there, there's the new Burns Road flats in the distance. But what you can't see is everything underneath the tufts of grass. Like when I've had a picnic down here before, there's a burn over that side. When I've had a picnic, I've been sitting there and a mouse has just come out of a tuft of grass. I mean, look at that tree. I know there's been some storm damage, but come on, guys. Just look. Imagine being here and all of this is houses, bar the tiny stretch by the burn. It honestly makes me want to cry just standing here, to be honest. I can't imagine someone picking, number one, this lumpy and bog-ridden meadow as a building site, but number two, I just can't imagine it happening. Like this would just look like a continuation of the town. There's the town centre. Sorry, it went a bit dark there. All of this would be houses. These hawthorns would go, blackthorn. And I'm guessing, I can't remember because I don't have the plan in front of me, but where this path is here, that would be the new access road, or there'd be a new access road the other side of that hump, because that goes down the other side to meet the road. And then the rest of Glencryan Wood is there. So right up against the woodland. I just can't. Like, I don't want to film myself because I am actually crying. But yeah, so we're going to take a walk back, and if it's not too boggy, I'm going to go somewhere that you really shouldn't go as it's not a main path, but I want to show you because it's where the development joins up to. We've been going 37 minutes now, so imagine that I haven't stopped a few times to talk about stuff. That's how long it's taken me to walk round a third, maybe, that's being generous, of the site. I mean, just imagine being a badger walking along there, doing your usual nightly rounds on your territory, but instead you're being hounded by dogs, people dog walking, noise from people having barbecues in their garden, because quite rightly so, if you built a house here, it'd be nice. There's lots of things for you to look at, because technically you would say, oh, I'm in a rural area, I'm in the suburbs, I'm in the middle of nature. Oh, I just heard a duck, hang on. So anyway, it went. Yeah, so this is us walking back past the ponds. I might just see how flooded it is at the moment. As I said, please do not walk anywhere. Not only is it a bog, but you are destroying nature and everything's just coming through because it's spring. I'm quite good at finding tufts of grass that I know are okay. Oh, there's another wood pigeon. Let's have a little look. So that's the main pond I just showed you there, but I want to show you this secondary pond here. And we did actually find some deer bones down here, a couple of sets in the tall grass. Oh, got an airplane from Commodore Airport. I have a video here of me filming a buzzard as well, which I forgot, and I'll add that to the list. So there's the edge of their first big pond, and then this pond is the one that I feel is really significant. You've got your cat's tails. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, there is actually an animal track that runs here past that tree. Now I can tell you, because I've witnessed it as well, that is a deer track. So while they might leave this place like as it is now, because you can't really build on the ponds, that's going to be built on, that will be houses. So let's have a little look through here. There might be some frog spawn, although this is quite high, or some toad spawn, some amphibian spawn. There's another 2 smaller ponds further down there, and then I don't know if you can hear it, but there's the burn as well. So I really don't want to fall in the pond. But let's look for some spawn. Oh, we have another track here. This is a larger animal. So something has regularly used this bit to get into the water at this point. I don't know if it'll pick it up on the camera. That looks quite a large animal, maybe like hedgehog sized. Oh, there's a buzzard again. I wonder if I can film him. Oh, 2 buzzards. They're quite high up. I don't think this camera's going to pick it up. So 40 minutes now I've been filming. I'm just going to carefully walk along here because I don't fancy falling in the bog today. You can see it's quite wet. As I said, I'm being incredibly careful and I would not recommend this. But I do need to document what's here and what will be lost or damaged or destroyed. But there's already some rubbish on this side. So this is the runoff from the first 2 ponds and it forms part of this burn here. So I can't really get much closer. I'm going to have a look and see if I can follow this animal track through these trees and show you. So you can probably hear this. Here is one of the waterways that goes through, and just behind it where that scraggly tree is the other bit of Glencryan burn that runs into it. And there's a mini waterfall, so I'm just going to pause this and I'll show you. So So you can hear that rumbling. I don't know if you can see it in the distance. So much shelter here for animals that use the water. So many overhangs. Unfortunately, ignore the rubbish that's been washed down. But check this out. And that runs down, and I think it's culverted under the road, but there is another 1.5 ponds about 50 feet that way, maybe a little bit further. But there's a lovely drop off that I'm not going to go to today because it's too wet, with a lovely rocky bit down there that you can paddle in. But check it out. And let me tell you, this bit will all be developed. So if you think that nothing's going to flow into that waterway, then you're sorely mistaken, because how are you going to stop a massive development having all of that disturbance running off into those waterways? And as I mentioned earlier, look at this place. You're kind of halfway up a hill, so everything's just going to roll down the hill. You wouldn't even know those ponds were there unless you knew, unless you've done the survey. Look at this beautiful place, Glencryan Meadow. Right, let me see if I can go back and show you where the road is going to go behind where the trees are, where I filmed those deers the other day, which is just up here to the right, through there, by those Scots pine. So that's me back on the path I was on before. So it looks like on the map this bit is not going to get built on, but you can't say that like 100 metres behind me or even 60 metres behind me is not going to affect this. I mean, look at this woodland. Some of it's classed as scrub. There's hawthorn, blackthorn. There's the pond again and the tramway. So where I'm about to go, obviously I'm not advocating doing it. I'm doing it, so one person doing it to document what's going on is a lot better than 10, 20, 30 people trying to have a poke around and crushing loads of wildlife and organisms. You might be able to hear when I'm talking that I've got a bit of a chest infection. So here are some mushrooms, sorry, fungi, and here's a bracket fungus. The air quality up here is really good. Oh, there's Mr. Blackbird that tried to jump on me when I was walking through. There might be a nest up there. I believe there are a couple of deer footprints here actually. The ground's really boggy. Oh, sorry Mr. Blackbird, I'm not going on that bit. So what I'm going to do now is show you the pond and water area, the other side of the tramway. Now I believe they're not planning to build on that, but they are planning, oh, possible deer hoofprint. They are planning on building right up against it. So the road, as far as I can tell, will be just behind the big avenue of beech trees, which is the border of the the boundary line of where the waterway is. So along here with Scots pines, I can't get down there because that tree's fallen over. But as I said, that's the tramway that used to lead to the brickworks. Well, that's come over as well in a storm. So I'm following a deer track, and a couple of people come down here, a couple of adventuring people, but not many. You can see it's not been chewed up. So I'm just going to be quiet in case the deer are down here. But that's the stretch of waterway that's the end of the burn, that then flows into other burn that we saw down there. Now, there are owls in here, deer, buzzards, and I believe a kestrel. Here's a nest up here. I haven't seen any magpies or crows on this bit. I have found quite a few dead toads the other year as well. I think it was like 2021. But here we go. I hope you're enjoying this meadow through the trees, because that's due to be built on. That will be a massive housing estate with a primary road. that's where we walked through. And I said it's a mountain bike path. Oh, here's some evidence of some deer digging in here. I don't know if you can see it. I can hear the buzzard. I think it might have a nest. I'm trying not to crack any twigs, but it's really hard. So there's the other waterway. Down there with the waterfall. I would go down and take a video, but I want to keep up here. In case there's any deer on the meadow on that side. Here we go. Look. First find of the day, that's coming home with me. Now that looks like some kind of animal bone, possibly a deer bone that was dragged up here by a fox. So, that's a good sign. Thank you, nature. They know I'm always looking for skulls. Oh, there's a wren. Oh, I just saw a wren and then a robin flew above me. It is disgusting to think that that will be a road and a housing estate. It makes me so angry. If you watched the video this far, I really thank you. So that's where the buzzards usually sit up there. And then in these kind of pines up here as well, but it's mainly a Scots pine up there. And these two trees have been falling down for ages. Oh, there's a blue tip. So probably as long as I've been coming up here, this little collection has always been fallen. And you can see it started to grow a new tree out of its roots. Look, where one of the other pine cones have fallen on it. And there's some really interesting fungus here, look, check this out. Okay, so hopefully I've got enough camera battery. Oh, look what I found. Another bone. So something's been dragging things up here to eat. Maybe I'm on the right path. It does look like it could possibly be a deer bone, which I have got plenty of, but this is amazing. I think there's about 3 buzzards calling to each other. Some more bracket fungus. This is why I needed to come down here and show you, because this is such a haven of biodiversity. Even some of the invasive species. But look, trees have already been planted down here. Oh, we've got some scatter here. Is this an owl pellet? I'll be so happy if this is an owl pellet. Oh no, it's actually rubbish with some fungus around it. Again, this view, everything you're seeing through there will be houses. That buzzard's been going non-stop. Yeah, so here we go. I have to walk a slightly different way, but that's the burn at the base of those trees. I don't know if you can see the barbed wire fence. So all of this meadow here is going to be turned into housing and mixed development. And it will no doubt, I'm going to be honest with you, fuck up everything here. Look at these waterways. I know there has been some trees coming down there in the storm, but even leaving them, like this one here, look at the ecosystem it's built up. So this is on the way to where I saw the deer. This bit here fills up as a secondary kind of pond, Or you can walk up here and then get down to the burn a bit further along. I haven't seen any more bones unless I've just not been observant. But there's lots of evidence of things. Oh, there's a crow up there. There's lots of evidence of things digging through all of the leaf litter and just generally trying to like forage through stuff. It's annoying that that tree's down. I'll come up here and I'll try and get down the other way. But I will show you the burn. Here we go, we're a bit higher up now. So as I was saying, that meadow, that will have a road on it, whether the road's up the top on that ridge or if they build it and dig out the ridge closer down. The burn's at the bottom of there, the secondary water pool is there. There's absolutely no way that this will remain unaffected. I've got you on a bit of a wider lens at the moment. Now, as I said, I'm coming down here to document it all because this might need to be used against it in a hearing if the planning permission in principle does go ahead. And I really urge anyone that cares about nature, that cares about the environment in general in Scotland, anything, anywhere in the UK, if you have a UK postcode, you can submit your views for or against the development. Because I don't want you to think that, I mean, there's rubbish from the farm there already, but I don't want you to think that, you know, you can't say that you support it, because obviously social housing does need to go ahead. I'm not saying that Cumbernauld perfect. I mean, I love Cumbernauld loads, but it's definitely not perfect. But I am saying that this is not a suitable site. I mean, look. That meadow is beautiful. And actually, I don't know if you can see, on the far shore, I'm going to go down to the burn in a second, there is actually a well-used deer track there that's also a runoff waterway. So I'll just be 2 seconds and I'll get down this rather steep hill and show you. So I've come all the way back down here by where the fallen tree was. I just had walked up there and along and back down because I really just can't wait to show you the burn. Obviously we can't get right the way down there, but that's the one that flows into the bottom pond that I was showing you earlier. And here is the meadow, the part of the other meadow that I'm trying to protect. And this is the beautiful... So this is probably the average flow. In the summer it can get quite sluggish, but it is amazing. You can see down here, that's the other bit that gets flooded when it's wet. In the summer you can just walk straight through that bit. If you're looking at the size of the banks, they're probably about 4 to 6 foot, depending where you are. It's carved out this lovely gorge. The sun's come out. So imagine what the council and the estate agents would say. Oh, what a beautiful development, surrounded by burns and ponds and woodland on all sides. But they're absolutely going to strip out everything and cause irreparable damage. This has been hundreds of years. I mean, think about if people were up here, because the stone quarry is just up here on the left, we'll walk back past that. Think about 400, 500, 600 years ago, people carving away at the stone face in the middle of this amazing forest. There would have been wild cows, white cows and white bulls, all the ones that people came over to hunt. An amazing stretch of woodland and forest, and then it comes to 2023, 2024, and it's just gone. There'll be nothing. There'll be a couple of these beech trees, you know, the ones that are too hard for them to cut down. Look at this, moss and lichen covering everything. The air quality is amazing. I just can't understand I mean, when you're looking at the litter here, there's been like maybe one iron brew can, and I picked up a bottle down on the other meadow. But this is all farm, this is all blown off the farms. It's like sacks of grain. This is not human waste. Oh, I thought that was a buzzard, but I think it's a wood pigeon. But look at this. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. If you think that housing is more important than this, I mean, look, if you genuinely think that housing with less than a quarter that is going to be social housing, that's council housing, is more important than this surviving, then I don't know what else to say. I clearly can't convince you otherwise. Because when all's said and done, we're going to become a cashless society maybe, so money's going to be worthless. Nature will always be here. You should always be able to take a wander up to the woods. It's entirely free. Have a picnic with your mates, or even just come up here and read a book, walk your dog, enjoy it for what it is, get close to nature. There's so many medical studies that say it's really important to get out into a green space. And I mean, what is better than here? You've got burns, you've got woodland, you've got meadow, so many different animal variety species. Like, I can barely speak. Look what is on our doorstep already, and it's about to be bulldozed. This bit might be intact, but with the runoff and everything from there, no. I mean, look at that massive beech tree, that's already gone. But that's nature, that's the storms. That's not humans coming in and doing it.